So, in case I forget it later, this Wednesday there won't be a sutta class on this Wednesday. It'll be during our retreat, but we'll be broadcasting some of those Dhamma talks on YouTube Live, starting on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and perhaps the closing talk would be on YouTube Live. Hopefully I'll send out an announcement with the timing of those. Is that right, Prashant?
Yes,
YouTube Live technician.
Yes. So please visit the channel. You go to see all the Dhamma talks. So just go there, and on the destined time, you'll have a live broadcast. And you can, if you have any questions, you can write in the chat box, and we can present it.
Yeah, maybe you can put on the chat box that tiny URL, address for that YouTube Live.
Yeah, so we'll follow through.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start with reciting Namo Tassa and the.
Yeah.
Would like to do that? Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang Saranang Gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang Saranang Gacchami. So, welcome, friends, to this Sunday afternoon session. And as we have been the last few weeks, we are continuing to go over some of the verses in the Dhamma Pada. And last week we started the verses on the mind, and we're going to continue with those. So this is from the third chapter in the Dhammapada, called the chapter on the mind, Chitta Vagga. And last week we went through the first 4 verses of the Chitta Vagga. So we're going to start on verse 5 in the in the Chittavaga, but it's actually verse 37 in the whole Dhammapada. So usually the Dhammapada, there's a lot of chapters. So each chapter, the verses are numbered from 1 to the end of that chapter. But normally when you cite the Dhammapada, they're also just listed from 1 all the way to 450 or how many there are without the chapter interruptions. So this is chapter 37 in the overall Dhammapada. Again, on the mind and about sort of different aspects of the mind, and especially of learning how to control the mind's wanderings and so on. So I'm going to read the Pali and then the English translation and then the story. Durangamam ekacharam asiram guhasayam yechittam sanyamesanti mokanti marabandhana. So the meaning of this verse is faring or faring far, wandering alone, bodiless, lying in a cave is the mind. Those who subdue it are freed from the bonds of Mara. So it's talking about the mind faring far. This pertains how the mind can, you can be sitting here in your room and then the mind can wander and it can, be on the other side of the world. It could be many hundreds, thousands of miles away from where you are now, creating fantasies and imagining that you're doing something. It could even, you could imagine you're up in the two-seater heaven or any number in outer space, because the mind can, in an instant, it can travel infinite distances in thought. So that's the meaning of faring far. Even though the body is in one place, the mind can wander in so many directions, very far away from where you actually are, whether you're in bed and it's during a dream, or if you're in meditation and your mind has wandered in daydreams. And also wandering alone. So basically the mind is alone. And even though you might be talking to somebody in your daydreams or in your dreams, you're still alone and no one's really hearing you. And no one else can know what you're thinking really. So the mind just, trips out, by and for itself. And then bodiless. So, the mind doesn't really need this body. When we're awake, we walk here and there, our mind is with it. So we walk from here to the bathroom, our mind is there in the bathroom or in the living room, or going to your neighbor's house or driving down the streets of the city. Then to a certain extent, your mind is with the body. But at other times, when the mind is wandering, you might have totally don't even know that you have a body for a long period of time when you're lost in your thoughts. So there's no form and substance really to our thoughts, although it can appear so. And then lying in a cave is this mind. That may be a little bit harder to understand, lying in a cave. But you could say that this mind is in the cave of our brain, so to speak, or it rouses and goes out of its cave. You go to sleep and it's in its own little world. And So it's basically just, lying by itself. Those who subdue it are freed from the bond of Mara. So Mara is basically the delusions and that basically the delusions of the mind, the accumulated types of thoughts and emotions and so on, and the ego that keeps our thoughts in the bondage to sensual pleasure and to aversion, and caught between painful and pleasant feelings and caught up in the emotions. So subduing the mind, or freed from the bonds of Mara, so that we can clearly think. We can think what we want to think, when we want to think, and for how long we want to think, without Mara, grabbing our mind and taking it away. So if you decide you're going to sit down for 1 hour, you're going to be without thoughts in, let's say, the first, second, third, or fourth jhana, on whatever meditation subject you want. You could determine, okay, I'm going to sit down and for 1 hour, I'm not going to think anything else except just being with, the breath or being with the body. But, we know that, it's very difficult to do that because the mind Mara will interrupt, take us away. So anyway, those who subdue the mind, basically that means by cultivating mindfulness. So mindfulness is the first stage in subduing the thoughts, is we have to recognize that we are getting carried away in a certain thought. And then we have to apply the right effort to reflect on that thought as being something not profitable, something not useful at this time, and to reflect on it in the various ways that we've already talked about in previous talks, using the antidotes for the hindrances and so on. So we have to apply those to weaken the bonds of those thoughts on the mind. Now there's a story that goes interesting story that goes along with this verse. Okay, so it says that there was an uncle and a nephew, it seems, that were both monks. He was under the Buddha. And one day the nephew, I suppose the younger of the monks, received 2 pieces of cloth, perhaps at a dana or something, or somebody gave him 2 pieces of cloth. And he gave 1 piece of cloth to his uncle, but the uncle declined the cloth. So he offered this 1 piece of cloth to the uncle, but the uncle declined it because the uncle was older and the uncle was probably practicing non-attachment and didn't want to accumulate. Perhaps he didn't need the cloth. He already had his bathing cloth or he had his robes. So he didn't want to just accept more things than he needed to keep from accumulating things. So he declined this piece of cloth from his nephew. And the nephew got displeased because of that. Oh, brother won't accept my cloth. And so he decided to quit being a monk. And he had been standing there fanning his uncle, because that was sometimes the duty of younger monks. In the hot season, they carried these fans. So the junior monks sometimes would fan the older monks, especially if they're preaching the Dhamma, and oftentimes the Buddha, when he gave sermons, Ananda or some other attendant would be fanning them to kind of because it was very hot, in India. So anyway, this younger monk was entertaining this train of thought while he was standing there, fanning the older monk, and he got, displeased because that older monk wouldn't accept his cloth. So his mind went on this fantasy, and he was thinking to himself that, oh, I would sew one of these pieces of cloth once I disrobe, leave the order. I'm going to sew one of the pieces of cloth and buy a female goat, then earn some money, maybe by thinking the goat was going to give milk and he would sell the milk or make cheese or something, or maybe the female goat would have a calf, a baby goat, and sell it and make some money. Anyway, he was entertaining this fantasy while he was standing there, still in monk robes, fanning the older monk. And then this fantasy went on in his mind. Once he had this goat and earned some money, he was going to get married and have a son. And again, all this is a fantasy that's occurring in this monk's mind, probably in the space of 25, 30 seconds or a minute, all along while he's physically, he's looking like he's still fanning his uncle. Then once he had the son, he would pay a visit to his uncle with his wife and child. And on the way, his wife would accidentally kill his child, and he would get angry and beat his wife. So again, all of this is occurring as a daydream in this young monk's mind as he's fanning his uncle. And all that can happen in the space of, even of 30 seconds or a minute, because, everybody's had dreams and, we don't know how long they last, but you can go through a lot of stuff in a very short time with the mind. So anyway, but while he was daydreaming, he hit the uncle with the fan. In other words, he lost his concentration, right? So he was fanning the monk. And the fan was probably just a few inches from the monk's head. But then he lost his concentration and struck the senior monk with the fan. And then the uncle then realized that this monk was unmindful. And this uncle had some psychic power, and he was able to read the thoughts of his nephew. And then he admonished him and brought the younger monk to his senses, woke him up. And then the nephew felt ashamed and dropped the fan and ran away. And then the monks who were around at the time saw this young monk running away, and they caught him and brought him to the Buddha. Brought him in front of the Buddha. And then the Buddha described the fleeting nature of the mind in this verse. So most of the Dhammapada verses were composed sort of spontaneously by the Buddha, or perhaps some other arhants, based on a certain incident. So this was the incident that prompted the Buddha to then recite this verse, how the monk was standing there fanning, right? And his mind, created this fantasy. He, bought a goat and got married and had a son and went on a journey, and no one else knew about it. Of course, maybe the Buddha could read his mind, but generally, the mind is just wandering around by itself, bodiless. So anyway, that's what prompted that stanza. So I'm sure we can all relate to that. Even like walking down the street, you get caught up in daydreams and forgot even where you were walking and maybe tripped over something or bumped into somebody because you were unmindful, you were lost in thoughts. So that's the meaning of this sutta. And so And we do so many unmindful things because of that. So subduing the mind, and that's Mara. The mind is creating all these fantasies and daydreams in situations and scenarios that we know probably will never, ever actually achieve or do some things like that. But that's Mara taking us away from the present moment. Now this next verse, verse 40. Wait a minute. No, verse 38. So I'm going to try to chant the Pali of this verse. Anavatita chittasa saddhamam avijanato pariplava pasadasa panyana paripurati. Anavasuttata chittasa anavahata chetaso punya papa pahinasa nati jagarato bhayam. So the translation of this verse: he whose mind is not steadfast, and we could use also her whose mind is not steadfast, and just to get some equal justice here. He who knows not the true doctrine, she whose confidence wavers, the wisdom of such a one will never be perfect. And then there's an opposite of that one. She whose mind is not soaked by lust, she who is not affected by hatred, he who has transcended both good and evil, for such a vigilant one, there is no fear. So this is similar to some of the other verses that we talked about. We're learning to free the mind of greed, hatred, and delusion. The mind is caught in fear whenever you're attached and have greed, hatred, and delusion. There's always fear in the mind that one is not going to get what one wants or get what one doesn't want, and always being, everything is reflected back to these things are happening to me. The body gets old and sick, and then you're having the fear, oh, what am I going to do? Who's going to take care of me in my old age? And, who's going to pay my doctor bills? And, all these fears come because people identify, with their body due to the, delusion. Okay, now there's another interesting story that comes with this verse, or these two verses. And so it seems there was a farmer who became a monk with the idea that to lead an easy life. So he might have been seeing some of the monks, or maybe some of the Hindu monks kind of just wandering around, getting food from the lay people, but kind of not really practicing very intensely, or maybe he had the illusion, oh, they're just, they go sit in the forest and it's so easy, and, he thought it would be an easy life. But then once he got ordained, he realized that, it wasn't so easy because he had to follow all the rules. Maybe he didn't know that there were so many rules in the beginning. And so 6 times he left the order and came back. So it's possible that when a person ordains as a monk, they can disrobe, maybe after some months or a year, even it happens, they decide they can't hack it. And so they disrobe. Or maybe it's because of family problems. I've personally known some monks who, after, maybe 6 months or a year, their parents got old and they would be hard pressed to survive without some help. So some of them have disrobed and, gone to take care of their parents when they were one of them. And when they died or got better, the person could go back and become a monk again. So it's allowed that you could get ordained and disrobe, and then get ordained and disrobe up to 6 times. So that's quite a lot of times, And it's usually, people are not sure of themselves. Or they forgot, I forgot to, satisfy my displeasure. So let me disrobe and go satisfy my pleasure, come back again. So usually it's frowned upon, of course. Once maybe okay, but anyway, it is allowed. So he did that up to the 6 times, and during those times he disrobed, or he got married, or on the last one of those times, it doesn't say, he had gotten married, and his wife was pregnant. And then he said he saw the pregnant wife in disarray, whatever that may mean. But anyway, he saw his wife in disarray, and maybe she wasn't as beautiful with all of her makeup and jewelry and clothing and all that, right? So he was disgusted about it. And he wanted to become a monk again. But, and so on the way to the monastery to ask the monks if they would ordain him again, he attained Sotapanna. If you can believe that. So there's hope for some of you out there, right? So this guy had become a monk in disrobe up to 6 times, and on the 7th, then he attained Sotapanna on his way to the monastery. So he wasn't even a monk at that time. And then he wanted the monks who were unwilling. He said, here comes this crazy guy again. He's going to ask to ordain. We don't want to ordain him again. It's a waste of our time. And so he entreated the monks to ordain him again. And I guess they relented. And he did get ordained again. Maybe the Buddha intervened and said, because the Buddha could read the guy's mind, and the Buddha maybe saw that this person could still be redeemed. He attained Sotapanna already. So they reordained him up to the 7th time. Maybe it was the last time. And shortly after that, he attained arahantship. So some of you lay people see there's hope for you still. He attained arahantship. And then the monks mentioned that to the Buddha. They told the Buddha the whole story. And then based on that, the Buddha gave these stanzas saying that, previously his mind was not steadfast. The verses, he whose mind is not steadfast, who does not know the true doctrine. Now that pertains to a putujana. That means somebody who's not even reached Sotapanna yet. Their mind is not steadfast. That means they're prone to doubts because they haven't known the true doctrine. They haven't had that deep glance and experience of, emptiness, or, of what's called, entering the stream, where all of your doubts are overcome and your faith is unshakable. So the Buddha saw that, he was like that before, and he went in and out of the robes for 6 times because of that. But then finally he did attain the Sotapanna, and was able to steady his mind, and probably without too much of a long time, he attained arahantship, which refers to the second part of this, the verse, or verse number 39. He whose mind is not soaked by lust and affected by hatred, who has transcended both good and evil, for such a one there's no fear. So this person overcame his fear, and he didn't disrobe after that. Of course, he attained arahantship, so an arahant would not be disrobing. So that's the story behind that one. So now, does anybody, before we go further, or we might stop with that, I want to see if anybody has any questions based on any of those verses that we just read. You can write any questions that you may have about those verses on the chat. There's none yet. Or does anybody like to just ask a question?
Bhante, I just have a question about your Tuesday morning YouTube. Does it start at 8 a.m.?
Tuesday morning YouTube?
Yeah.
No, that probably won't start. I'm going to send out the timings. I haven't decided yet, but not that early, no. It would be maybe 9 o'clock, or it could be 8:45. Between 8:45 and 9 o'clock is when I will be giving the first sort of some meditation instructions, a short talk, and then the meditation practice from between 9 and 11. So
Okay.
we'll be on there between, let's say, could be 8:45, but basically from then to about 11 before lunch. That would be each day, but we'll mention that at the end of the program.
Okay.
So is there any questions about any of the verses that I brought up? Now, if there's nobody out there in virtual land, there is somebody here in the monastery who came for our retreat starting tomorrow, and they have a question. So I'll let them ask their question.
Bhante, could you comment, please? Because this non-monk, was layperson, attained the stream entry while not practicing. That kind of amazes me.
Well, it didn't say he wasn't practicing,
I mean,
but he wasn't.
On his way back, so he might have been.
But a lot of people have attained Sotapanna without practicing. Listening to sermons of the Buddha, we can see so many suttas, and where many lay people attained just by listening to a sutta who hadn't practiced much before. It depends on a person's paramis and previously accumulated merits and so on. The fact that he had been a monk for, and did that going in and out 6 times means that he must have had something, but he just couldn't stick with it and kind of wavered. But finally he was able to then burst through it. Maybe he thought if he would become a monk again and he wasn't a Sotapanna, he would never be able to ordain again in that life. See, that's the thing. Normally, they won't ordain you anymore if you've done that, disrobed and come back, let's say 6 times. And so that was his last shot. And so maybe it drove him to really, contemplate. It was just the kind of stimulus that he needed to attain stream entry.
How about karma about his poor pregnant wife?
There is so much information now in Zoom, and if you want,
Okay, friends.
one after the other again.
We can go over one more.
Yeah, one after the other.
Please turn off your mics out there. Okay, this next verse number 40. Kumbhupamam kaya mimam viditva nagarupamam chittamidam tapetva yodita maram panya yuddena chittancharake anivesano siya. This is actually I like this verse. It's, realizing that this body is fragile as a jar, establishing this mind firm as a fortified city. One should attack Mara with the weapon of wisdom. He or she should guard that conquest and be without attachment. So, realizing this body is fragile as a jar, of course, that refers to, impermanence, and that death could really happen, at any time because of the nature of the body, and so many things could cause this body to die, even from a young age, from accidents or diseases, unknown genetic defects, and so on. So that means, having the sense of urgency then. So having realized that you could die at any time, establishing the mind like a fortified city. So, cities in the old days had fortifications around them, a big thick wall, maybe a moat, right? So a moat would prevent, the first wave of attack from coming over. Then they'd have to climb over, and then they have cannons, maybe, shooting people coming, and the people who made it, the enemy who came past that. Then they had ladders that they put up against the wall, and the enemy would climb up the wall. Have you ever seen the movies of the Alamo? The attack of the Alamo. Actually, it shows that quite well. It kind of illustrates that quite well. But so we fortify the city with sila and samadhi and panya. That's what we fortify the city of our mind with. That means also mindfulness. We fortify it with the spiritual faculties of faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. We fortified it by practicing sila and developing mindfulness and concentration. And that's with what we attack Mara with. And so attacking Mara, you go out to it. Don't wait for Mara to come to you. You go out to it by examining this body. What is this body made up of? Just earth vibration, water vibration, heat vibration, wind vibration. There's no substance or core to it. Even this ego, this I, what the heck is it? You investigate. You attack it with wisdom, with anicca, dukkha, and anatta. That's called attacking. You don't wait for the suffering to come from you. You attack it by knowing that you had suffering in the past, or even now you have it, but you go out to it. And that's what we do in Vipassana meditation. We're opening up. Come on, sounds, try to bother me. Come on, physical pain, try to bother me. And then when the pains or the loud sounds come, you fortified it with your mindfulness and wisdom, not allowing those disturbances, whether it's physical pain or sounds, sights, smells, taste, the sensory vibrations, because you fortified the mind with, these are the factors of the, the Eightfold Path, and so on. So attack Mara with the weapon of wisdom. Actually, the weapon of wisdom, sometimes it's called a sword. And in Tibetan iconography, the Manjushri is the embodiment of wisdom. When you see this figure, looks like a kind of a Buddha, but it's a bodhisattva, but with a raised sword, you know, and that cuts the defilements. It's symbolic of cutting the defilements in your mind when they come up. And then the person should guard that conquest, so that whenever you reach the level of a sotapanna, or you attain jhana even, or you attain the levels of you guard it. You know, you guard that conquest, but without attachment. And what does that mean? You don't go around flaunting it. Oh, I can attain the first jhana, second jhana. Oh, I have this and that, or go on flaunting, you know, oh, I've reached these and these various levels, or, you know, that sort of, it means you're sort of attached to them. So without attachment, okay, you might, you know, have some levels of equanimity and wisdom and so on, but you protect it, you know, from degrading, but also without attachment. Like even the meditation. Let's say you're meditating and then somebody comes and really needs your help for some reason. And you say, don't bother me, I'm meditating. No, I don't want to go help you now. Here's $10. Go hire somebody to help you paint the fence. I want to sit and meditate. So that means you have attachment to the meditation. Anyway, I'm sorry if I'm exaggerating a little bit, but still there's people who kind of have acted that way before. So that is those verses. And maybe does anybody have any sort of last questions based on from any of that? Okay, here's a it says, I guess a question, is listening to Dhamma, is it better than formal meditation? Because there is so much online meetings. How do we balance listening to Dhamma and formal meditation? By meditating after you hear the Dhamma. Just don't hear the Dhamma and walk away. That's why in these programs, I always follow a Dhamma talk or a sutta discussion with meditation. And also when I go out to teach, a lot of places that you go to, you know, they're scheduled, let's say a teacher gets invited to a meditation center. They meditate first and then hear a Dhamma talk. But I change it. I give the Dhamma talk first and then meditate on the subject of the Dhamma talk. So it's still fresh in their mind. So that's how we have to do it. You have to listen to the talk or read a sutta, and then you have to sit and you have to contemplate it when these ideas are freshly in your mind. So maybe in the Dhamma talk you heard about the 5 aggregates. You know, and then 5 minutes later you sit down and then, you know, okay, try to feel these 5 aggregates. So it's still fresh in your mind. Okay, oh yeah, material vibration, okay, perception. You know, it's still fresh in your mind. Now, if you heard a talk on the 5 aggregates and you go home and then 3 days later, you say, oh, what are the 5 aggregates again? Yeah, not going to help you much. So that's why, you know, you have to always balance and don't listen to too much Dhamma talks without meditation. You should always try to meditate afterwards. That way you get the best value from it. So, you know, there's plenty of guided meditation. So just listen to one Dhamma talk and, you know, do a guided meditation. There's lots of guided meditations. You know, all of mine that I've been giving, they're all recorded there. You know, I don't know, more than 50 or 60 or 70 And, you know, most of them are fairly similar, but still, you know, you have to meditate hundreds and even thousands of times for meditation to really sink into your bones and sink into the unconscious mind. So then it begins to have a lot of power. Okay, anybody, is there any other questions or comments? I know you don't have any more questions because you want to meditate now, right? Good. That's great. Okay, so we'll go ahead and stop now, take a few minutes short break, and then we'll come back and do a few stretches and then have our meditation. Okay? Let me turn off this now. Screen. Can you hear me, Prashant?
Yes, Bhante, I can hear you.
Okay, so stand straight. Keep your feet about a few inches apart, parallel to each other. Relax the arms and hands at the side. Gently close the eyes. Just try to mentally feel the feet pressing the floor. Just feel that earth element, vibration of solidity, or hardness. And feel your arms and hands hanging at the side. Feel where the clothing touches the skin of your shoulders and arms. It's also the earth element. The clothing rubbing against the skin. Mentally feel the head balanced on top of the shoulders. Feel your face, sensations on your face. And start to mentally feel the outline of the whole body. And then begin some deep, slow breathing. Try to take at least 3 seconds to gradually expand your abdomen, middle rib cage, and upper chest. Hold the air in the lungs for 2 or 3 seconds. Feel the relaxing contractions of the out breath, feeling the last bit of air go out of the lungs. Then the next in breath. Just think like this to yourself, where you take a few more deep, slow breaths. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Now you can open the eyes and kind of follow me through these movements. We combine these bodily movements with the same deep, slow breathing, repeating each one 3 times. So on the next in breath, raise the arms over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, arch your lower spine a little. On the out breath, turn the palms down, touch the top of the head. Begin in breath, palms up, straighten the arms, stretch the head back, arch back. Out breath. Third time, hold that upward stretch longer. Feel all the sensations. And release the fingers, the out-breath arms back to the sides. And relax, gently close the eyes again. Start to feel the inner body, the subtle vibrations or increased pulsations, heart beating. If you can't feel that, just feel your feet pressing the floor. Remember standing. Don't let the mind wander far and bodiless. Keep it in the body. And next, on the in-breath, push up on the toes while raising the arms over the head in this way, facing the hands toward each other and stretch up. Out breath, come back down, heels to the floor, arms to the side. Use the breath to help lift and lower the body. In breath, up. Out. In. Out. Relax. Just close the eyes. Try to mentally feel the outline of the standing body, the subtle sensations going on inside. Standing, here and now, the mind grounded in the body. Okay, next we'll do knee bending. On the in-breath, again push up on the toes and lift the arms up front for balance. On the out-breath, bend the knees and lower down, balancing on the balls of the feet. And the in-breath all the way up. Out. In. Once more out. In. Out breath, relax. Just feel the increased heart beating or the pulsation. Don't let the mind wander far away. Standing. Now spread the legs and feet wide apart, wider the better, at least 3 feet. Actually, first we're going to do twisting from right to left. So holding the arms out, try to keep the arms parallel to the floor. And breathe in. Look at your right hand on the out breath, twist around, keeping your eyes focused on the hand going back. The in breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body and then go to the other side, the out breath. In breath, front. Just continue that with the breathing. Out breath to the right. In breath, front. Out breath, left. In breath. Once more to each side. Relax. Just feel the sensations in your arms, fingers. Or any other body sensations that stand out. Feel the subtle pulsations deep in the body. And then try to spread your feet a little bit wider apart again. We'll do backward and forward bending. We'll try to loosen up the spine. Just let the hands touch the front of the legs. Breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward. Keep the head up, looking out straight ahead. Let the hands come to your kneecaps the first time. Try to flatten the spine, getting the hump out of the spine. Legs straight. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. Let the head go back. Breathe out. Gently bend backwards, not too far the first time. Keep the eyes open. In breath, carefully lift up. Be aware of any shaking. And again, out breath. The hands come down below the knees. Still keep the head up. Flatten the spine. In breath. Again, the back bend, out breath. In breath. Third time, let the hands come down toward the feet. As far as you can reach down and then hold that position. Or grab a hold of your legs or feet. Hold it tight. Feel the stretch in the back of the legs. The in-breath, lift up. Once more, the back bend. Out breath. In. The out breath, relax. Feel the whole body exactly as it is. Each foot pressing the floor. Hands touching the sides. Clothing touching the skin in different places. The head balanced on top. Now bring the feet closer together. One last exercise, the head turning. Try not to move the shoulders or torso when turning the head. On an in-breath, turn the head to the right as far as you comfortably can. Try to look over your right shoulder. Turn your eyes to the right. Try to look behind you a little bit. On the out breath, turn the head 180 degrees back to the left, concentrating into the neck vertebrae, feeling them loosening up. Look over the left shoulder. In breath back to the front or to the right. Out breath left. In breath right. Out breath left. On the in breath, let the head stop in the center. Feel the whole body. Just grounding the mind and the body is the first stage of meditation. Here and now. Okay, so come back to the seats now and get ready for meditation. Prashant, you can see my nice green cover, right?
Yes, Bhante, but you have to also mark when you change it. I have a green screen. Keep it none, and then there's a checkbox underneath video settings. I have a green screen. Then it will be more effective.
Or is there a message like that?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm using the virtual.
Right. So under the virtual background, there is a checkbox. I have a green screen, and then it will be more effective.
Okay, I see that.
And you have to do a little bit differently once. Yeah, but I know it needs more adjustments with background and everything. So.
Oh, what's happened to the Buddha?
Yeah, it's a little bit more adjustment needs to be done. And then you have to select the background too. I have a green screen and then the background.
I did.
Both of them? Okay,
Yeah.
Buddha's picture as background. Yeah, Buddha is coming as a, I know it's partially coming. I think it's not coming right. Something else is going on.
It's better to forget about this green screen. It's better this way.
Yes. We do adjustment fine.
Anyway, I'm going to turn the video off anyway during our guided meditation. So, okay, so I'm going to turn the video off during this guided meditation. Just try to sit straight. Align the back of your head and the spine in a straight line over the hips. Try to find the center of gravity. Try to place your hands one on top of the other one, kind of the edge of your palms against the abdomen. Gently close the eyes. And first of all, just focus your attention where the buttocks press the seat. Feel that earth vibration, sensation of hardness. Hardness of the buttocks pressing the hardness of the cushion. Contact. Just feel the sensations from that contact. Try to feel each buttock, the right buttock, the left buttock. The sensations, just imagine that flesh and cells pressed together, giving rise to sensation. And just remember sitting, here and now. And let the awareness kind of move down the legs toward your knees. Feeling some sensation of the clothing touching the skin, the legs. And going over the kneecap, and down into the lower leg. down into the feet. Or first you come to the heel, try to feel both the heels, the ability to focus the mind on any spot that you like is a good mental power in meditation. Try to feel some sensation in each heel. And moving down the foot to the arch, to the toes. Should be lots of sensations in your toes. Try to feel the outline of your big toes. Where they touch the floor, touch the other toe. Just try to feel that aliveness in the whole feet. So many different little sensations, pulsations, in the heel and the arches and the toes. And just remember that this body is sitting, sitting, sitting. When the body is sitting, the mind should be sitting here and now. Now move the attention to feel your hands and fingers, where they touch your legs or where they touch together. Again, try to just notice the outline of the thumbs or other fingers. And the subtle pulsations, tingling sensations. The sensation of warmth or coolness. Just a pure, raw sensation. And feel the weight of the arms hanging from the shoulders. Feel where the clothing touches the skin of the arm. Again, the earth element of clothing touching the earth element of the arm, producing sensation. And perception is what recognizes the arm. You know it's the arm through perception. Now move the attention up to the head to feel your face. Try to feel or imagine that skin stretched over the front of the skull. Tight, taut feeling of the skin stretched over the skull, giving rise to sensation. As in your forehead. Where the chin. And feel your lips touching together. The upper lip touches the lower lip. Feel the sensation of either like dryness or moistness in the lip. And feel the tongue in the mouth, where it might touch any teeth. And feel the eyes in the sockets, and the eyelids stretched over the eyeballs. Just kind of gaze on the eyes. Try to feel the subtle eye movements, or the blood pulsing in the capillaries of the eyes or eyelid. Or any kind of scratchy feelings on the eyeballs or eyelids. And relax the eyes. You might see some light or color or some image. You can just remember that sitting. The mind's grounded in the present moment, not wandering far. Now from that point behind the eyes, allow the awareness slightly expand, feel the outline of the sitting body, all those different places that we're feeling, the buttocks and feet underneath, hands and arms at the sides. Clothing touching the skin on different places. The head balanced on top. It's a collage of different sensations. Which are fed into the brain, giving rise to memory, the perception of the sitting body. So when the body is sitting, the mind should also be sitting. Here and now. present moment awareness. And then again begin some deep, slow breathing to help oxygenate the body, the bloodstream. After breathing in, feel that expansion of the lungs and chest. Hold the air in a couple of seconds. Try to feel or imagine the oxygen in the lungs going into the bloodstream, being carried out to all the cells of the body. And feel that relaxing contraction of the out breath. Try to feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs on the out breath. And then the next in breath. Just try to take several deep, slow breaths like that to get really grounded, rooted into the present moment. It's cultivating this basic mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Breathing in, feeling the whole body. Breathing out, feeling the whole body. And now we want to count the breaths again from 1 to 10, try to develop a more precise concentration. Try to continue taking slightly deeper breaths. With the next expanding in breath, mentally count 1. Feel the brief pause. With the contracting out breath, so count 1. It's one complete round of breathing, the breath body. The next incoming breath, 2. The out breath, 2. In breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In breath, 4. Out breath, 4. In breath, 5. Out breath, 5. In breath, 6. Out breath 6. In breath 7. Out breath 7. In breath 8. Out breath 8. In breath 9. Out breath 9. In breath 10. Out breath 10. Now discontinue the counting. Just let the breathing return to its own uncontrolled rhythm. Continue to feel it, to follow it, moment by moment. Try to feel the 4 phases of the breathing, the expanding in-breath and the brief pause, the contracting out-breath and the brief pause. That's called the breath body. One cycle of breathing, the in-breath and the pause, the out-breath and the pause. Try to focus on where the clothing rubs against the skin of the abdomen or stomach, or rib cage or chest, causing the friction sensation. It's the contact. Or if you like, you can feel the air entering the nostrils, you can feel the air moving through the nostrils, feel the lungs expanding even at the same time. The more you can notice, the more concentrated the mind becomes. And just knowing when the breath is coming in. And knowing when the breath is going out. You know it by feeling it, that awakeness of the mind. It's grounded here and now. And if it helps to stay focused, you can make these mental notes to yourself. In sitting, out, sitting. An ongoing, continuous connection to the present moment. to this breathing body. It's the anchor to the here and now. In sitting. Out, sitting. Breath by breath. Moment by moment. But at the same time, be alert for the mind starting to fly away. Get caught up in thinking, recognize it, thinking. Or if you find yourself totally lost in thoughts, recognize it as lost. Take a deep, slow breath, bring the mind back home to the body. Back to in, sitting. Out, sitting. Try to feel the body in the body. Breathing occurring within the larger sitting body. Just noticing more and subtler detailed sensation. In the breathing body. Along with the breathing, you might notice some itchy or prickling sensation, stinging or biting sensation, aches or pain. touch of clothing on the skin in different places. That's how you keep the mind from wandering far away, keeping it constantly connected to the body. There's nothing to feel. The mind either goes to sleep or wanders bodiless in its thought. From time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths. Help keep the attention grounded in the body. If you have a good concentrated awareness, gradually opening up to the flow of impermanence, notice more subtler sensations, sounds, or thoughts coming and going, arising and vanishing. Through the body-centered awareness. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Sensations come and go. Thoughts come and go. Sounds come and go. Drowsiness, confusion comes and goes. This is all just a continuous flow of impermanent states through this body and mind. Through the present moment awareness. Grounded in the body. The only thing that's really real is sensations of the breathing body coming and going. Everything else is imagination. Your mind wandering far away. Being caught up in the past and future. Or just drowsy. Fortify this mind against the attacks of Mara. Fortifying it with faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. Sambe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atanibindati dukhi esamaggo visuddhya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. When one sees this with the eye of wisdom, one becomes disenchanted with suffering. This is the path to purity, to freedom. Thus spoke the Buddha. Now again, let's begin taking some deep, slow breaths. Finish this meditation by radiating out thought vibrations of metta or friendliness, best wishes toward ourselves and all other beings. So after breathing in, hold the air in the lungs for several seconds. Again, feel that oxygenated blood going out to all the cells in the body. It's being like metta, sending metta to all the cells of your body. And feel the relaxing contraction of the out breath. Just take several deep, slow breaths like that, sending metta to yourself. With these ideas that may I be well, peaceful, and wise. May I be free from greed, hatred, fear, and ignorance. Free from the pains and sufferings brought about by such unskillful thought, speech, and actions. May I have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. I continue to deepen my understanding of Dhamma and the practice of meditation to help free the mind from confusion and suffering. May I be well, peaceful, and wise. And try to take some more deep, slow breaths like that. And with each out breath, you're holding in the breath a few seconds. Just imagine that energy streaming outward, thought vibrations of peace, pure wisdom, pure love, pure energy, sending those thoughts of metta to your other family members, relatives, good friends, people you work with. And gradually, with each out breath, radiating those thought vibrations across the whole earth, to all beings on the whole earth, with the idea that may all living beings, wherever they might be, living far or near, weak or strong, healthy or sick, may all living beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings have the patience, strength, mindfulness, and wisdom to meet and overcome all difficulties in life. May all beings be able to hear the teachings of the Dhamma and to practice meditation to help free their minds from confusion and suffering. May all beings be able to live peacefully and harmoniously together. Understanding the ultimate interdependence and interconnectedness of all things. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. May all beings be well, peaceful, and wise. Just like a mantra reverberating throughout space. Well, peaceful, and wise. So I invite you to join in chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. Do the chanting on a long out breath. Just try to feel those vibrations in your body and mind, or just listen to it. You can place your hands at the edge of the knees. On the next in-breath, stretch your head back and arch your lower spine. Hold it a few moments. On the in-breath, lift the head up. And on the out-breath, press the chin to the top of the chest to stretch the neck vertebrae. On the in-breath, lift the head up level. Relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends. So this brings our Sunday afternoon program to an end, and I hope that you all had a pleasant Christmas day and so on. And I hope you, between now and New Year's, you also, try to take advantage of probably having a lot of free times or being on holiday, or to increase your mindfulness and meditation practice to help subdue the wandering mind. We subdue that by using the body, because the body is the only thing that we have with us all the time. That's something that's sort of concrete, that the mind is always connected with. The more you can remember and feel the body, the less time your mind has to get wandering and useless thoughts. So that means practicing the M&Ms. So try to practice those M&Ms as often as you can during the day, to stop and pause, bring the mind back to the body. So again, as just another reminder for those who weren't tuned in at the beginning of this program, that for those who are attending the Wednesday evening sutta class, there won't be a Wednesday evening sutta class on this Wednesday night, because we're having a retreat here, and so I'll be occupied doing that. So, but next Sunday we'll try to go over a few more Dhammapada verses. We're in chapter 3, the Chitta Vagga, on the mind. So it's a very important, chapter, because the mind is, everything. The mind is the most important thing. And you could say the only thing. But so anyway, with that, have an enjoyable New Year's Eve. Those who can tune in, we'll be meditating here in our retreat, New Year's Eve, from 9 o'clock to midnight. We'll be constant meditating, either sitting, standing, walking. So if you want to join in that, on your own, and sort of be tuned in that way, feel free to do that. Okay? So, mindfulness a day keeps dukkha away. Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Namo Buddhaya.
Paluta Ruddak Veva.
And if you have that